Fight for Life Cancer Foundation is a non-governmental organization whose motive is to create more awareness on the endemic nature of breast cancer and also to help women who had mastectomy, that is, those who had their breasts removed. This foundation came to limelight a few days ago when the founder, Dr. Roslyn Borogen, and her team gathered some women in Ikeja, Lagos, to draw the attention of the women on why they should take the necessary steps in the fight against breast cancer. The launching of the forum drew the attention of various women and some cancer survivors across the city of Lagos.
We called on our CEO to give us a short welcome address. She is the head of the Fight for Life Cancer Foundation. She'll just give us a short welcome address and tell us exactly what's going to happen here today. And that's none other than Dr. Mrs. Roslyn Borogen.
Fight for Life Cancer Foundation is my baby. I decided to do what we're doing here because I'm very passionate about women that have been diagnosed with breast cancer. So we want to create awareness. We want you to know that you can be empowered. The fact that you have breast cancer is not a death sentence, and it is not your fault. Okay? That's one thing I need every one of us here to go away with. It is not your fault. It can happen to anybody. So once you have it, and when you live here, I want you to educate your family and friends that when they have breast cancer, they need to speak up. We need to stop the silence. That's the word. We need to stop it because that's what we're doing back in the US.
The event started with a question and answer session as Dr. Borogen shed more light on what informed the laudable initiative and what she perceived as the future of this foundation.
What are the messages you would like to share with the global community about the fight against cancer?
So cancer, it's a terrible disease, it is. So I want all of us to fight. That's the name, Fight for Life Cancer Foundation. We have to fight for our life. We have to beat cancer. And that's what we're doing. There are a lot of organizations, we're all in collaboration. And by God's grace, we will beat cancer.
Are there any upcoming projects or initiatives you are particularly excited about?
Yes. So like I said, we're coming to Nigeria again next year. We'll be in Lagos. We'll do the same thing, but it's not going to be. We're not going to be launching the organization because it's already launched today.
Breakfast was served, and the second session resumed with various lectures on the need to fight cancer. Fares were allayed as it shouldn't be perceived as a death sentence, but women were advised that it is a must to go for a thorough medical checkup annually. The keynote speaker, Dr. Bukola Oshikalu, took to the center stage to educate and also advise women.
Yes, cancer is a terrible diagnosis to have, but sadly sometimes it does happen that you at some point or another in your lifetime get given that diagnosis. But when that does happen, it's important that it happens, it's picked early. So one way to pick cancer early is being cancer aware. So today we've done or spoken extensively about how you should be breast cancer aware. So for the other cancer, there are some cancers that really you cannot, no matter the stage, no matter whatever you do, pick it up early. Okay, some very deadly ones, like for example, pancreatic cancer, it's really, really deadly. So, but for those ones that when it is picked early, you can do something about it. Adopting healthy lifestyle measures, like we have talked about, and also like screening, health screening, having cancer surgery. For example, you're doing a mastectomy. Standard breast cancer surgery involves, taking out the breasts and also doing what we call axillary lymph node dissection. So you go into the armpit and try to harvest some lymph nodes. Best prevented, or best, you institute measures against it as early as you can in the course of treatment. And especially after surgery, you should institute those measures to prevent it from developing.
Dr. Bosede Wellington, who represented the Lagos State Ministry of Health, advised women to take the bull by the horn.
Usually when we talk about breast cancer, we talk about any kind of cancer, we talk about screening, we talk about treatment, we talk about what we can do during detection, screening, treatment. And usually a lot of intervention, we just end it there. Maybe is because we feel like, ooh, we finally survived it. Ooh, you've done your chemotherapy, you've done radiotherapy, you've done surgery, you're fine, you're like, oh, you're fine. Just go home and be fine. Not realizing there's so much more beyond all those treatments that we talked about. So I mean, this opportunity to be able to offer an opportunity to have some form of completeness, some form of, I can come out in public and I don't feel like I'm not a full woman. It might not be a lot to some people. It is a lot to the people that know that it is a lot.
We are in collaboration with a couple of organizations in the US. We are in collaboration with FOSS. They are into genetic testing, and those presentations you got was from them. We are in collaboration with Tiger Lily. It's another organization. They bring, they train survivors, you know. That's what we are trying to do here eventually. So these survivors, they become advocates. They begin to advocate for themselves. That's Tiger Lily. They were in collaboration with Kamanos. Kamanos is a cancer institution, and they are also linked with Wayne State University, where I will be getting my PhD from. And we are in collaboration with Diana Mastectomy. They are based in Canada. They are the ones that gave us this practices that we are going to be giving to you all free.
Much more than sitting down and counseling the woman for hours, it does something. Rosalind and your team, thank you.
Questions, comments, and advice were also given by guests.
When we're talking about cervical cancer, there are things that people do. They call it pap smear. All these things as cancer screening. We don't really do this thing, and that's why we have high prevalence of this kind of cancer. The kind of cancer they have in the West, they are the ones that you cannot easily detect, like pancreatic cancers. But something as, like, all those colonic cancer, even colonic cancer is being nipped in the bud because people above 50 years do go for yearly colonoscopy to check for colon cancer. I'm sure if you bring like 1,000 Nigerians that are over 50 years, only maybe 1 or 2 people are going for colonoscopy. But over there, it is something that is regular. So all these things are cancers that, these are ways you can prevent sporadic cancer. And also, our lifestyle can prevent it. For example, we have a high rate of cervical cancer in the north because of increased childbirth. They give birth a lot, and this thing increases cervical cancer. And also, drinking and smoking. Smoking increases chances for all types of cancers. Same thing as drinking.
Women should be made more aware that cancer is not a death sentence. Because come to think of it, back home, I have 2 or 3 friends who have passed, and they passed before we knew that they had cancer. So if they had spoken out, just maybe, with a little bit of financial help here and there, and encouragement, they may have lived longer. There's no one who will not die. There's no woman should die of cancer. More so, if you know that you have it, don't keep quiet about it. Speak out. Because if you don't speak out, you won't get help. Even if it is for financial assistance, there are 1 or 2 people who will come to say, yes, let me help you. And I'm very glad we have survivors here who are speaking, who are telling women that I have survived cancer. That means that anybody who has cancer and they speak out in time, they can be treated.
In fact, for me, I was just talking with my protocol, and it's a real eye-opener. I was telling him that I wish my wife was here to hear some of the things that we heard. Incidentally, I just met Dr. Rosalind a week ago, and she invited me to this meeting, and I'm glad that I came here. I've learned all the necessary things that needs to happen whenever people notice symptoms, the genetic testing, and all the other stuff that needs to happen. I've learned a whole lot in this process. I am glad that I really came to this event.
And I can tell you for free that I had an uncle, a man who died of breast cancer. It may shock you. It may shock you. He was a prosperous man, but he never believed that he could have breast cancer. So they left it until he got to the fourth level, or how do you call it? Stage 4. It was too late. He died of it. So to come here, we don't see any man here, or what? We don't see one man here. It shows that the men don't realize that breast cancer is not just for women. But even if it's for women, the women are the children of some men. And those women who are married are the wives of some men. So we hope that in future, more men will show up in events like this.
Because silicone. We have different types, but this is the best, it's the most superior type. It costs around $500 to $1,000. And it comes in various sizes. So actually, you guys know your sizes, so we have different sizes right here. So all you have to do, we do have bra that goes with this. So there's an opening here. So this opening is where you insert the silicone. So when you put it on, you can tell the difference, which will help self-image.
High point of the Fight for Life Cancer Foundation was a free distribution of protesters to well over 100 women for free.
Yes, sir. I'm alive. I know, sir. God has got this.
Some of the survivors shared their stories.
A lot of women hide their cancer diagnosis. In fact, when they notice anything like lump or anything unusual in their breast, they find it difficult to come out because they see it as a stigma. A lot of women have died from cancer because they refuse to come out, they refuse to open up, and they refuse to go to the hospital. So a lot of them, when they notice anything like lump in their breast, they will feel like it's something that they can take care of by themselves, and they start rubbing and applying all manners of things on it. And before you know it, cancer is not something that you have to toy with. Cancer is deadly than what we think. But if you start your treatment, like I always tell people, early treatment, early detection, early treatment is a win-win. So I advise women, girls, not just women, girls, even some men do have cancer. We have breast cancer survivors amongst men. Yes, if you notice anything unusual in your breast, in your armpits, run to the hospital. Don't seal your mouth. It is not a time to seal the mouth because cancer is expensive to treat.
In fact, I'm really elated for this foundation because they are one of a kind. Like, for example, the prosthesis and mastectomy they want to give us today is a huge sum of money. If you want to get a prosthesis now, you have to be looking towards 200K. Mastectomy bra is from 40,000. So as a cancer survivor that we are still spending, that is just by the side. So for us to get it free now is a big deal to us. So I'm so elated with the foundation on that. And for take home, and you know, as a cancer survivor that has children too, I have children, so they talked about the BRCA test and all of that. I have to look into it because it's very important, you know. As in, they say ignorance is a disease. Now that I know, so I have to do something about it.
The guests were also treated to a sumptuous lunch at Radisson Blu, Ikeja, Lagos.